The morning sun draped the cul-de-sac in a warm, golden glow, painting the neatly trimmed lawns and fluttering mailbox flags in hues of a Norman Rockwell dream. It was the kind of Saturday where worries melted into the hum of sprinklers and the distant bark of a neighbor's dog chasing a squirrel. 7-year-old Timmy zipped down his driveway on his shiny green scooter, its frame plastered with stickers: galloping stallions, caped crusaders, spaceships soaring through neon skies. Each one held a story Timmy could spin for hours, his crooked blue helmet bouncing as he laughed, a sound so bright it made neighbors pause over their coffee and smile. On the lawn, Grandpa Frank, a grizzled 72-year-old with hands scarred from a lifetime of battles, clipped hedges with shears older than Timmy's dad, Mike. Every snip was precise, deliberate, the rhythm of a man who'd once dismantled guerrilla traps in Southeast Asian jungles with nothing but steady nerves and a pocket knife. Frank hummed a low, tuneless melody, part march, part hymn, impossible to pin down. If you asked, he'd just grin, his weathered face creasing, and keep working. Words weren't his way. Action was. Mike leaned against the porch railing, coffee mug warm in his hands, savoring the fleeting perfection of the moment. Life felt solid, unbreakable. Then came the screech tires clawing asphalt, sharp as a gunshot. Mike's coffee sloshed. Timmy's scooter skidded to a halt. Frank's shears froze. A battered gray SUV lurched to a stop across the street, its engine growling, one headlight cracked, license plate dangling by a single screw. Trouble radiated from it like heat off pavement. 2 men spilled out. The first, a wiry, twitchy figure Mike later dubbed Rat, strutted forward in a cheap black polo, HOA enforcement, stitched crookedly across the chest. Mirrored sunglasses warped the cul-de-sac's reflection, his jaw jutting with unearned swagger. The second, Tank, was a walking boulder neck thick as a tree trunk, a jagged scar slicing from ear to jaw. His matching polo strained against his bulk, heavy boots thudding with menace. No badges, no radios, just arrogance cloaked in fake authority. Dangerous. Frank straightened, subtle but unmistakable, shifting his weight, lowering the shears. Ready. Always ready. Timmy, confused, rolled his scooter back toward the porch, sneakers scuffing awkwardly. The men ignored him, their eyes scanning the property like predators sizing up a kill. Mike's gut twisted, that primal rage when something threatens what's yours. He set his mug down, slow, deliberate. Rat sauntered up the driveway, Tank looming behind, arms crossed, jaw grinding. Neighbors peeked from windows, curtains twitching, phones half raised. The SUV idled, exhaling exhaust like a beast waiting to lunge. Rat stopped 10 feet from Frank, planting his feet like he owned the ground. "Violation!" he barked, loud enough for the whole street to hear, his nasal voice dripping with petty tyranny. Timmy's eyes widened. Frank didn't speak, didn't blink, just watched, the air thickening with his silence. Rat pointed at Timmy's scooter, accusing it like it was a crime scene. "It's not motorized," Timmy mumbled, voice barely audible, gripping the handlebars until his knuckles whitened. Rat sneered, stepping closer. Timmy leaned back instinctively. Then Tank moved faster than his bulk suggested. His boot lashed out, smashing the scooter with a sickening scrape. It spun from Timmy's hands, clattering to the pavement, stickers torn, wheels wobbling. Timmy stumbled, hitting the ground hard, his knee scraping bloody. He gasped, clutching the wound, fighting tears. Rat smirked. Tank nodded, smug. From the hedges, Frank rose, slow, deliberate, setting the shears down like a man sealing a vow. The air shifted, grew heavy, the breeze dying, birds falling silent. Only the faint whir of Timmy's scooter wheel and Frank's steady breathing cut the stillness. Rat, emboldened, turned to Frank. "Got a problem, old man?" he mocked. Frank's steel-gray eyes locked on them, unyielding, a sniper's focus. Tank bounced on his toes, flexing meaty fists, itching for a fight. They saw an old man in work boots and flannel, not the warrior who'd stared down death in forgotten wars. Timmy, trembling on the concrete, looked to his grandfather, fear mixing with trust. Mike's muscles coiled, urging him to rush in, but he held back. He knew that look in Frank's eyes, the same one from years ago, when a neighbor's drunken swing had ended with a broken jaw and Frank's calm, unraised voice. Tank sneered, looming over Timmy, his shadow swallowing the boy. "Next time, follow the rules, kid," he spat. Timmy's fists balled, his scraped knee bleeding red against pale skin. He glanced at Frank, standing calm against the green hedges, sunlight glinting off his silver hair. Those eyes met Timmy's, promising. "Saw you're not alone." "Saw." Frank moved, not fast, but smooth, like water over stone. He stepped onto the driveway, each footfall silent, precise. A rusty garden hoe leaned against the flower bed, its oak handle worn smooth. He didn't touch it yet. "Pick up that scooter," he said, voice low, almost gentle, but laced with iron. Timmy sniffled, crawling toward his battered scooter, Leah vying a faint blood trail. Rat whirled, sunglasses flashing. "Stay out of this, Grandpa," he snapped, voice cracking. Frank kept walking, closing the gap, stopping 2 feet away. His body angled slightly, weight on the balls of his feet, right hand twitching toward the hoe. His chest rose with a slow, deep breath, priming for action. Tank spat at Frank's feet, a pathetic flex. Frank didn't flinch, letting the insult slide off like dust. The neighbors watched, phones trembling in their hands. Timmy lifted his scooter, clutching it like a shield, its bent wheel wobbling. Rat jabbed a finger at Frank's chest. "You're interfering with official HOA business. I could have you arrested." Frank tilted his head, voice dry as gravel. "Official?" A pause. "You ain't official." Rat's mouth opened, but words never came. Frank shifted, shoulders tightening, knees bending, a predator coiling. Tank laughed, clapping Rat's shoulder. "Let's find the kid and go. No need to mess with Grandpa here." They turned toward Timmy, dismissing Frank. Fatal mistake. Tank stepped forward, chest squared, fists clenched. "You deaf, old man?" he growled. The hoe flashed a silver blur, oak handle hissing through the air. Frank moved like a storm breaking, no wasted motion. The blade swept low, hooking Tank's legs with brutal force. Tank's boots flew skyward, arms flailing, mouth gaping. He hit the pavement with a sickening crunch, head bouncing once, a wet thud echoing. He lay crumpled, a mountain brought low. The street froze. Gasps erupted. A mug shattered on a neighbor's porch. Phones zoomed in, capturing the chaos. Rat stumbled back, hands up, squeaking. "You're assaulting an officer!" Frank tilted his head, voice calm but piercing. "No. I'm defending my grandson." Rat fumbled for a toy radio, hands shaking. Static, he said. No one answered. Tank groaned, clutching his leg, face twisted in pain. Frank stepped forward, hoe at his side, stained with paint from Tank's jeans. Rat backpedaled, sneakers scuffing. "You two have 3 seconds to sit on that curb and wait for the sheriff," Frank said, conversational but final. Rat gawked. "What sheriff?" Frank's lip twitched, a humorless smile. "The one already on the way." Sirens wailed, distant but closing fast. Rat bolted for the SUV, tripping in panic. Frank moved 3 strides, hoe swinging like a scythe. It hooked Rat's ankles, yanking him down. He crashed chest first, dust puffing around him. Frank planted the hoe like a staff. "Stay down," he said. Rat curled up, whimpering, clutching his useless radio. Tank stirred, groaning, trying to rise. Frank's boot came down hard, precision Tank's ribs. A wet crunch split the air, Tank screamed, gurgling as he curled into himself. Neighbors gasped, some muttering prayers, others zooming cameras closer. Timmy stood, scooter in hand, staring at Frank, not in fear, but awe, like a child watching a thunderstorm he knew was on his side. Rat, frantic, mashed his radio. "Code 3! Officer down!" Static. Frank's boot snapped the DVYC from Rat's hand, sending it smashing into plastic shards. "No authority," Frank growled, stepping closer. "No badges. Just thugs in bad shirts." Rat shrank, pinned by Frank's disgust. Neighbors poured onto porches, phones raised, outrage crackling like static. For years, they'd whispered about HOA bullies, petty fines, unspoken threats. Now they saw one of their own fight back out with words, but with will, with a hoe, with love for family. Sirens screamed closer. A sheriff's cruiser screeched into VYEW, then another, boxing the SUV. Deputies leapt out, guns low, freezing at the sight, tank crumpled, Rat cowering, Frank unmoved, Timmy proud, neighbors witnessing. Frank dropped Rat at the deputy's feet, dusting his hands. "You're late," he said dryly. The lead deputy, a buzz-cut veteran, holstered his gun, nodding. "Sir?" A female deputy cuffed Rat, hauling him to the cruiser. Paramedics rushed to tank, confirming broken ribs, a fractured hip. Frank stood calm, hoe by the mailbox, arms crossed. The deputy approached. "What happened?" Frank nodded toward Timmy. "They assaulted my grandson. Tried to intimidate us under false pretenses." The deputy glanced at Timmy, who stood tall despite his bloody knee. "Weapons?" Frank's lip twitched. "Just a hoe." The deputy snorted, professional but amused. "Injuries?" "Scraped knee. Broken scooter." A pause. "And their pride?" The crowd murmured, phones still rolling. Deputies searched the SUV, finding fake citations, no badges, a receipt book listing extorted neighbors. Fraud. Extortion. The crowd's anger grew, whispers turning to mutters. Someone uploaded the VY Dale. It spread neighborhood group to social media to news vans screeching into the street. A reporter, eyes gleaming, thrust a microphone at Frank. "What happened, sir?" Frank glanced at Timmy. "They came after my grandson." She pressed. "You defended him?" Frank nodded. "Family first. Always." The clip exploded Twitter, YouTube, national news. Saw Grandpa takes down fake HOA thugs. Saw hashtags trended, the family first, the real justice. Memes flooded in Frank's face on action posters, hoe-wielding cartoons. He became a symbol. Stand up, fight back, protect your own. Commenters roared approval, sharing their own stories of defiance. By evening, Frank's face was everywhere, the hoe gleaming beside him. The imposters faced ruin. Tank needed surgery, a permanent limp his reminder. Rat's life collapsed, said no job, no friends. Charges piled up, assault, fraud, conspiracy. The neighborhood changed. Timmy got a new red scooter, a community gift, his scar a badge of honor. Frank trimmed hedges the next Saturday, same flannel, same shears, but curtains twitched at every strange car. The real HOA issued ID rules. Timmy rode proudly, glancing back at Frank, who watched, silent, unbreakable. A week later, a plaque appeared under the oak. Here, an old man with a hose stood taller than any badge. Timmy's old scooter rested beside it, a relic of defiance. Frank chuckled, shook his head, and kept working, humming his tune, now the street's anthem, a promise: mess with family, and you'll answer to steel, to will, to love that breaks bones and builds legends.